Welcome to the Side Action Podcast, the sports gambling show that covers everything in the world of sports betting from A through Z. We'll cover the four major sports, as well as anything and everything in between worth some action, and will increase the size of your bankroll. And here we go.
All right, welcome to the Side Action, episode 8 of season 6. My name is Jim Weglars, aka Wegs. You can follow me at Wegs on Twitter and on Instagram.
And I'm Coop. We are live on scene here. You can follow me on Instagram at Dalton Cooper, on Twitter at Dalton Cooper, at Mr. Grumpy Gills. We are the Side Action Podcast. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Side Action Pod. We are, and it's Friday. This is a little weird, is it not? Is this
a little later. Yeah, it's Side Action Podcast on Instagram, but you're good. You're getting there. This is Friday. We slept in. We had a long night last night. Actually, I got home about 9 last night, so it's been a little tougher to do. I did get to see, and we'll talk about later, my Jags taking home, but traveling in from Atlantic City to Philly home. Atlantic City is like an hour plus from Philly for the old corporate retreat. That was pretty exciting. And
nice.
We're just kind of easy. My little hoodie here. You got your Monster hat on. You're appealing to the sponsors slowly over time.
Yeah, absolutely. We got to make sure everybody feels known and welcome on this podcast. Always. Casual Friday might be a new thing from now on.
Yeah, for sure. So, let's talk about our weekend. Last weekend, I had the big wedding weekend in Minocqua. You probably saw some pictures on Instagram. Follow me at Wexpool, on Instagram. I might have got after it on the dance floor a little bit. Didn't tear my Achilles. I was excited about that. But, you saw the little hand thing. And the story behind the hand thing, which is what Dalton's referencing, is we were doing a lot of dancing. My brother, first of all, I want to tell you, my cousin Molly, actual cousin, not Dalton's friend, friend from Prism or whatever it was called. Anyway, Radius. I'm sorry. Anyway, there was a lull. They start off the dancing. People start dancing. They put the old school stuff. I did come on Eileen with my Aunt Eileen and my mom, and inevitably this guy's just kind of stuck in the 70s, 80s kind of stuff. The dance floor's kind of dipping. You got 2 more hours in this reception, pal. You got to pick it up. I went over there. I'm like, brother, come on, play some Bruno Mars, man. Play something. He puts out the Bruno Mars. Bam, the kids come up. The youngins come on up, the teens and tweens, and then everybody gets on the dance floor. I saved the reception, Dalton. I saved this. You're welcome, Molly and John. Save the reception. But after about an hour of hard dancing, my brother's on the side. I'm just like, come on, brother, let's go. Let's go. So then all of a sudden, I didn't even know that random dude in the video to my right, your left. I didn't know that guy. He's like, I love that move. So we started doing 3 or 4 of us in my brother's face, just doing the whole Rihanna thing. So if you want that at your wedding, contact me. I'll do it for a low fee. I did split my pants. I split my pants as well, Dalton. You know it's a good wedding when I split your pants. Yeah, turned down the wall. I wasn't doing the full on the wall thing, but I was dropping it like really deep and full blowout, like not even no brainer or no doubter blowout.
No doubter. Oh yeah. God.
Oh, it wasn't all the way up to the paint, like the belt, but it was up there. You
didn't drag your transmission, did you?
No,
that's never a good
not
thing.
yet.
Okay.
Not yet. It's still
okay.
High and tight, so to speak. So
Oh,
anyway,
just little body damage. Yes, just body damage. Nothing crazy. Okay, good to hear.
So it was a good weekend, really fun. My cousin Molly is good for her. She's the best. And Iowa City, man. Iowa City was in the house. There was a lot of Hawkeyes. We went up watching that game a little bit when they beat Wisconsin, first time in a million years or something, or two years in a row they've beaten them, but the first time in Camp Randall in a long time. But yeah, a lot of Hawkeye fans. It was fun. But so anyway, how was your weekend? You're back in the Chi. You did some things.
Oh yeah. Well, right now we're in Ohio, so we went home for the weekend and visit the fam, hang out for a little bit. But no, we had a good weekend. One of my buddies was in from Virginia Beach for the Bears game, so we went down to Barstool River North and some of the, I think Boss Bar, I think was another one in the area we went to.
Nice.
I'm learning quickly that to run a successful establishment in Chicago, you have to have the music just below ear bleeding level. just loud enough to where you can't yell at each other. You have to like get right in somebody's ear.
Yeah, well, it helps the dating. You're kind of getting up on somebody. If you're just a couple of guys, it gets a little, well, I'm open to all.
Yeah, the cuffing season.
Yeah.
All right, cuffing season. Yeah,
It's a cuffing season.
We're still deep in cuffing season. So glad to see it's going well for you. But no, it was a good weekend. We did, like I said, we met up with him, and then Sunday was just kind of chill and watch football, and then Tuesday night we had our the boys were back. We're bowling, so we had an okay night. We went 4-3, so we didn't take them all, but we didn't get taken advantage of, if you will. So thank God for that. So,
nice work.
But it was a pretty chill weekend. Can't complain.
Yeah, good to hear. And as you said, you're in Ohio now. You'll be back on Sunday. We'll talk about that later for a critical event. And then I'm here, but doing some stuff, visiting my brother and whatever. But anyway, all right. Well, let's talk about our new segments, but I haven't thought that much about. But who got taken to the shed this week? So interesting. I don't want to put it all on one player, but you know how I feel about the guy. I'm going to take the 49ers to the shed this week. We did talk a little bit about it last week, how I thought the defense for Cleveland was going to play well, but you had P.J. Walker in. You're like, this was a spot that maybe they looked a little past them. Not sure, meaning the 49ers went to the Browns, and the rain certainly helped. But look, they came out there and kind of got punched in the face by Cleveland. They stalemated that offense. They knocked out McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel. Everybody on the team was getting hurt. Purdy didn't look good. Shocker. When he got some pressure, your guy, obviously the defensive pass rush was there, in his face. And I don't know, Trent Williams could not handle your guy. But I would say, they could basically, when they play those tough guys, I think they're going to struggle. So, in the end, I'm taking the 49ers to the shed, and I'm kind of happily, gleefully, because obviously they beat up the Cowboys the week before my pick, but I was happy to see this one come in. I didn't end up betting the game because I was out of state mostly, but at least in my picks, I was able to get Cleveland on this right side.
Yeah, no, so actually one of the guys I was going to take to the shed involving that game. Did you see the scuttlebutt beforehand by chance?
Oh, no. It was a little
there was
boxing.
they had like a little rumble. Yeah, similar to the Cowboys and Chargers rumble they had Monday night. But they had a little get together before that game involving Deebo Samuel. But the first person we're taking is Elijah Moore, because if you do watch that video, Trent Williams literally threw Elijah Moore on the sideline in the beginning of that fight, or scuttle, if you will. So good, fun video. Recommend checking that out. Also, I don't know if you heard about Shane Beamer, but he's going to the shed this week. He is the head football coach for South Carolina. I don't know if you read about this or heard about it in your worldly readings that I know you dabble in. But he actually broke his foot kicking thing in the locker room after his team blew a 10-point fourth quarter lead. So he'll be on the sideline next week in a cast and crutches. So shout it up to Shane Beamer. We're going to take Andrew Heaney to the shed. He actually started he was a starting pitcher for the Rangers last night, and shout out to them. They got housed. But he is the first pitcher in Texas Rangers history to start a postseason game and not make it through the first inning.
Wow.
So he's getting taken to the shed. The NCAA, we're going to take them to the shed just because they're trying to do anything that they can to take down Harbaugh, which is just it's a travesty.
First of all, what's the matter with stealing signs? Who cares? Isn't that part of scouting?
Right.
If they hold up their hand that they're going to run this play, what's the big deal or whatever? I mean, that's why they do the thing. That's why McCarthy does the Denny's menu in front of his face.
Yeah, that's why everybody started covering their mouth when they talk on the sideline. Yeah, so I just think it's a little ridiculous. And then the last person is Dan Lasagna. He actually he was behind the plate for Game 3 of the of the Phillies and Diamondbacks. I don't know if you saw that game. It was obviously yesterday. It ended 2-1.
Yeah.
But Next Gen Stats had him at an 89% call rate. So 89% of the time he made the correct call on pitches, which is actually the worst in the MLB in the last 20 years. For context, Angel Hernandez's worst game was at 90%. So he was worse than Angel Hernandez in Game 3. So if you go back, there was 14 missed calls that he had specifically that were pretty brutal. So we're going to take that advantage.
At some point, they're just going to have the robot, right? Or they're going to have the rectangle.
Yeah, the K zone. Yeah, the K zone.
It's inevitable.
I can't wait.
It's inevitable.
I can't wait to put a microchip in the football and we don't have to use chains to measure first downs.
Well, the spot, but the spot, yeah, it's so subjective, but I got you. All right, well, let's move to the Dub Club. I know you want to let 75 people in there, but I'm going to let one big guy in there, and I know you're really surprised I'm going cross sport this time. Let's go with Kyle Schwarber, former Cub. He's not my guy. He's a Cub guy, but you're welcome, Phillies. He hit 3 home runs in the first 2 games in the NLCS. My company is very Phillies oriented, Philadelphia oriented in general, but Phillies oriented. So Tuesday night we were all watching the game. They had snacks and whatever. After a gigantic lobster meal, let's go eat some, some pretzels and some, Cracker Jack and stuff that they like to eat and drink. So we're watching this blowout of 10-0. But Schwarber, man, that swing is just so. I know he strikes out a lot, but just a sweet swing. 2 bombs in that game. Trey Turner did start it off, but he hit the 2 home runs. Schwarber. So I'm putting him in the Dub Club. Welcome to the Dub Club with the 75 members that Dalton has led in.
Okay. Actually, you took him. I had him in Club Dub as well. A little nugget for you, too. He that home run he hit the other night was actually, he tied Reggie Jackson for the most home runs in postseason history by a left-handed hitter.
Oh, so, there you go. Love it.
Shout out to Kyle Schwarber. We're also going to add Austin Matthews. Shout out to the hockey segment on the pod here.
There you go.
But he actually had back-to-back hat tricks in the first 2 games of the season. And he's actually the second player to do this feat in the last 104 years. I'm going to go ahead and let you try to guess the other one.
104? I don't think I can guess that one. I don't know hockey players.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Alexander Ovechkin actually did it back in 2017.
Oh, okay. Okay. You were just saying 104 years of the league. Okay. I thought you sort of went back to 104 years that it happened.
There's been 2 players in the last 104 years to score back-to-back hat tricks to open the season. Last time it was done, there's been 5 people all time, and they were all done in 1917, 1918.
Okay. I'm with you.
Just for context there.
I'm with you.
Yeah, everybody knows Cy Denny, Joe Malone, and Reg Noble. I mean, those are like the staples of hockey, right? Come on.
Reg Noble. So, I got the jersey back there.
We're also going to add the Las Vegas Golden Knights. So I saw this on Twitter as I was scrolling through today. Obviously, they're 5-0 to start their season. They won the Stanley Cup last year. But a nice little stat that I came through was that since the All-Star game of last year, which is usually around February time, they've had a 47-8-7 record, which is a 134-point pace that would break the all-time record. They've been plus 77 in the goal differential in that time period too. So they've just been an absolute wagon. So
I thought you were going to say the Aces, bro. Come on.
I mean, shout out to the Aces too, WNBA champions.
Back to back.
Yeah.
First of all, Becky Hammond, the coach, she's a CSU grad. That's the Rams, right? She should be an NBA coach, first of all. I know she's been assistant before. She's been in consideration. Let her get a chance in the NBA, though she's killing the WNBA, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Kelsey Plum's also my woman crush. So Darren Waller's a lucky man. But it's the eyebrows. She's got great eyebrows. But the last team we're going to put
the all eyebrow team.
Yes, exactly. The tight ends, the Beaver Nation, and the eyebrows. That's where we try to live at. But for the last part of Clubbed Up, we're going to put the Miami Dolphins in. This is my little homer segment too.
Sure.
So they are the first team since the 1953 Colts to have 15 rushing touchdowns and 15 passing touchdowns through the first 6 games to start the season. So
that's a few more than the New York Giants, by the way. Who haven't scored a touchdown in like 3 games.
So it's been a minute, but we will hopefully we'll continue to keep putting up record numbers. Oh, and Jalen Ramsey started practicing this week. So
I know you're excited about that.
Big things are happening.
He's going to save that defense. So
right.
All right, well,
that's what we haven't clubbed up.
Yeah.
Only 4 people this week.
We'll have to start putting like a wall on the back here on the wall. We'll just start putting Club Dub members up, just pieces of paper, and it'll be completely filled. My 3 guys over here, 4 over here, Legion. Our guys are like they got the VIP section. You've got the the general admission, but
no, you just got a smaller club. We got a swim up bar. We've got a second level. We've got the rooftop.
I like the swim up bar idea. Anyway, okay, so let's talk to college basketball here, college football here. We got some big games this weekend. You weren't part of the text, but I am going to get a group to go out tomorrow. Hopefully other people show up, but Luke has committed to go to Rivers to watch this first game, Penn State, Ohio State. Big game for Franklin, who doesn't win against big teams, but we'll see. He's like 1-9 or something against top 10 teams, but they've got a good team. They're playing obviously in Columbus, and then we've got Tennessee at Alabama, maybe a bit of a payback game from last year. You got Duke and Florida State. Both these teams are pretty good this year. And then Utah at USC. USC needs to bounce back after your Notre Dame win last week. So, hey man, you almost you're still not many losses here. You got a push last week with Duke on the win and then Washington on the push, but that was a fun game too.
Yeah, that was it might be game of the year, honestly. That Washington-Oregon game, that was it was really good. A lot of fourth down, I don't want to say questionable calls because it's always so hard to make that in a moment, But no, great game. Obviously, I think that Utah and USC game is going to be a little underrated. Hopefully, Cam Rising plays at some point this year.
Okay.
That's what I'm really looking forward to. If Cam Rising were to play, I think Utah could be a serious national title contender. They've got a really good defense. But I digress. For your picks this week, I know everybody's always tuning in. This is what everybody's been waiting for. So this week we're going to ride Clemson at -3.5. They're at Miami. Miami got taken advantage of again. They got pretty manhandled against North Carolina last week. Even though the box, I think it was a 10-point game, but that was definitely more than a 10-point game if you watch the whole telecast there.
Right.
But then this week we're going to ride with the Buckeyes again. So Penn State is one of the younger teams in the Big Ten. They're going to have to go to Ohio State, which I think is a big ask. Ohio State, for some reason they feel disrespected, but if you take away the 2 losses to Michigan and the 1 loss to Georgia, they haven't lost anybody else.
Right.
So, they have a pretty good staple or a pretty good shelf to sit on that they are the number 3 team, or them in Alabama, whoever else you want to name. But no, I think they're really gonna make a statement against Penn State. I could definitely see the game getting out of hand early. So
yeah, I kind of wanted,
those are your picks this week.
Yeah, I wanted Penn State to do this, but I'm with you. Ohio State, it's just tough. Franklin in the big games, it's just hard to back him. I'm kind of hoping maybe. I don't think any Penn State money is going to be putting on at Rivers, but I'm probably with you on Ohio State there. So. And I don't know. Do you think Miami's just kind of quit on the coach after that whole ridiculousness a couple weeks ago? Do you think that's part of it, or are they just not as good as the other teams are playing?
I think they have. I think Tyler Van Dyke is inconsistent at quarterback, and I think when you have inconsistent quarterback play, it's hard to kind of know what you're going to do from a game plan standpoint on a week-to-week basis. Obviously, they're getting better. Miami's been kind of a laughing stock the last couple of years. Before obviously Cristobal got there, they've been getting better every year, but. I think there's too much talent on the Clemson side. They've been playing better since they've had their 2 losses early on. So, I think there's a big coaching mismatch here, and I think I would definitely take advantage of it. But we'll see what happens. You never know.
All right, let's do an October update before we get to the main podcast here. We've got the ALCS is all even at 2-2, all road teams. That's really weird. When I saw the stat that the Rangers had won 6 games on the road in the playoffs, which basically the other 2 teams who have done it have won the World Series, but then they come home and Houston is also on a road tear, and so it's really interesting. So Game 5 is tonight. Check this, 5:07 Eastern. That's 4 o'clock here. I guess you're in the Eastern time zone. You get your Verlander against Montgomery, and then obviously you got the Jose Altuve thing. But who do you like in this one tonight?
Oh man, this one's tough. I'm going to ride with the Rangers. I think the Rangers are going to win this series in 7.
Okay.
They're the only team that I trust to actually win a game at home.
Yes.
Houston hasn't done it all year long, and if they do make the World Series, they would be the first team in MLB history, which is like the oldest game that any of us play, to ever make the World Series with a losing record at home. So it's never been done before. Their pitching is obviously, I think, a little bit better from a starting standpoint, but this Rangers offense is it's really good.
Yeah.
I think it's all about the mojo. So Jordan Montgomery's pitching for them tonight. He's been really good this postseason. They got him at the deadline, and he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. So he's pitching for money. He's going to be a very rich man come April, March next year. So
can he sponsor Club Dub? Can he
maybe we'll have to
help with the DJ booth?
Like 7 shutout innings, we'll reach out to him. Yeah.
Help with the decor. Okay, and then we've got the Phillies. They're up 2-1 in this one. They did lose last night. to the Diamondbacks. And did you hear that the prices of the tickets in Arizona were only like $17 to $25? Granted, the game was during the day yesterday, but the games were $700 at least in Philadelphia. We were talking about it. It was going to be cheaper to fly from Philly to Arizona, stay the night, and fly back. And you could actually be cheaper than the $700. But that's Game 4 is tonight, 8:07 Eastern. That's 7:07 here. You got Sanchez against the vet. How do you say that? Mantiply. So who do you like in this one?
This is your classic bullpen game, honestly. You're going to see everybody is going to be on staff here. I think the Phillies are going to take control. I think if they let the Diamondbacks get in, this is a team that you cannot let back in. They've been underdogs the whole season. You know, basically they've been playing postseason baseball since like the end of August, essentially. So if you let them get hot, they could be in trouble. But I think the Phillies, they just feel like the team of destiny right now. They really do. They feel like they can't be stopped. Like the only thing that stopped them yesterday was this horrible strike and ball calls.
Right.
I think it's going to be tough to not see Philly come back and even go back to red October and have a field day on Sunday. So.
Right. I do like the Phillies too. I don't like to say it too loudly at the retreat because everybody's the Phillies, but I think they are going to win. But we'll see. Yeah.
We are a little partial though too because we have a future on the Phillies to win the World Series that we placed before they beat the Braves. So
I know
we're a little biased on that opinion. Just
a little
so
bit.
The crowd at home knows. Yeah.
A little bit. All right, well, let's go into NFL. Let's recap Week 6. It was an interesting week, a little bit of a different departure from the last few weeks. Home teams crushed it, 10-4. That's the first time we've seen that this year, where just a little bit of home cooking. A lot of home teams came through, and on the spreads, the favorites just kind of destroyed it, 9-5, which is again maybe that's the home teams, but in some cases road teams too. And the totals were unbelievable, all unders. So. Usually when you see favorites win, it's not an under. It's a dog situation. So kind of a contrarian. 11-2-1 is my. I did get a push in there. Some people are quoting 12-2, but bottom line, the trend is there. And only one game was really dependent by the spread. And on the season, that's only 12%. So very interesting week as we go into that. I don't know how you fared, but the side action and we had official side action picks were great. 4-1 this week. We did very well. We actually got a little bit of movement towards the top. The top team is 24 points in. They're 80% still kicking ass. Top 100 is 20.5 points, where the side action is 18. So 2.5 behind of the money. We moved up considerably, 653rd place, and then 225th in quarter 2, which is a 5-week quarter. So we get a couple 5-0s, we could have a chance. So how did the Beaver, before we get to the rest, how did Beaver Nation do here?
Actually, our strategy of taking your opposite teams worked. We went 3-1. The only loss we had was that Monday night game with the Chargers, that was frustrating to say the least. So, I think we're going to implement a new strategy. So that's arguably the best week we've had this year.
Man, I thought you were 2-2, but okay, we'll go over those picks at the end. But maybe you flipped one. So the games that we picked, Baltimore -4. This was. A lot of it was predicated on the early arrival for the Ravens, and it did kind of prove true. They came off the bus running and playing great. 360 total yards, 233. The final score 24-16. I don't know. The Titans had a chance in this one. There was some late stuff, but 3 interceptions I think in this game. Tannehill kind of got knocked out, so it definitely helped this cover in this game. You didn't take this game in your contest though, right?
No, just I took Houston, Detroit, Los Angeles Rams, and the Chargers for my 4. I dropped the Bears late. I woke up Sunday morning and I was like, I don't know what was wrong with me Wednesday through Saturday that I thought the Bears were going to win. But I woke up Sunday morning and just the magic wasn't in the air, so I changed it.
That's good. We did end up taking Cincinnati. This was a bit of a sweat. I think they got a little bit lucky in this one. They won the game 17-13, but Seattle was 1 of 5 in the red zone, included 3 empty trips late with no points, kept going for fourth down. I mean, they're down by 4, but maybe in the early fourth quarter should have kicked a field goal, would have got them within the number, but not complaining to get this win. The Bengals have now won 2 straight, and they seem to be riding the ship.
Yeah, they came out hot again this week on offense, which is a good sign, but they really started to sputter. You can definitely tell T. Higgins isn't right. He looks like he's afraid to get hit in the midsection, so he's obviously got some discomfort still with his ribs and stuff like that. And the good news for the Bengals, though, is the defense is playing well.
They are.
So the defense is definitely carrying them. Obviously, if they can prolong the inevitable and get Joe, all the way healthy and get everybody back, then they should probably be in good shape. But yeah, to your point, I thought they squeaked away with this one as well.
They did. So Houston +2. This was definitely the right side. I thought you said you liked the Saints. Maybe didn't go opposite this one. So Houston came out, got on top early, and just kind of held off the Saints again. This is a broken record. Teams in the red zone. Saints were 0-3 in the red zone in this game. Houston punched in 2 of 4 times, and they won the game outright 20-13. You saw the Saints struggle last night against Jags as well in the red zone. So I think D'Amico Ryans is bidding for Coach of the Year so far. It's obviously early on. There's Shanahan's done great too, but a team that really stunk, and now they're 3-3. They're contending in the AFC South.
No, absolutely. And as a guy that picked Dan Campbell as Coach of the Year, I would say D'Amico Ryan is like maybe 2. He's right behind him, I'd say. But no, I thought Houston looked good. I think this is the one game we were on the same side.
Okay.
Actually, if I remember correctly. So no, again, Houston looks like the team that they don't beat themselves, to where New Orleans is a team that just can't take advantage of anything. And you saw that last night. They got an early turnover, and they couldn't do anything with it. So to that point. It really doesn't look good for Derek Carr, my guy. So we're definitely gonna.
Don't worry, he's the Proxies guy too. The Proxy used to love Derek Carr, and I told him how bad he was, and he never listened to me. So it's okay. Yeah, you don't have to listen.
The schedule's gonna get a little bit easier for New Orleans,
yes.
So maybe that'll favor them. It looked like Derek Carr had like a groin injury or something last night. I don't know. He was on all fours for a good minute and a half or 2 minutes. So
he was too busy yelling at his teammates the whole time. He's yelling at everybody. He's getting tired. He's getting tired of yelling.
Yes.
So.
I can't figure out how he could yell at Chris Olave when he throws the ball 3 yards out of bounds for not running on his route or something. But I digress.
One of the ones that didn't hit was New England +3. This was a real kick in the nuts, to be honest with you, Dalton. Now, granted, some people say it's true. It wasn't the right side because the Raiders should have scored more points. Jimmy G got knocked out. You had Hoyer come in. They were up early, 13-3 early, but New England kind of clawed back. They got to 19-17, and then they got the stop. They got the ball with a chance to win the game. I'm like, just do your best not to throw the game away, Mac Jones, except first they get the delay of game, which pushes them back. I think they got a penalty on the punt return, too, to push them back. Then they get the delay of game. Throw the damn ball away. Takes the safety. They lose 21-17 with the safety, and we get beat. The only loss on the weekend.
Yeah, that's when you thought it couldn't get any worse for the New England Patriots, it finds a way to get worse for the New England Patriots. So yeah, that was heartbreaking. There's not a lot to say. Honestly, the only thing I noticed is that Brian Hoyer looks like he can throw the ball farther down the field than Jimmy G can. I don't know if that's just because Jimmy G's that hurt or
he's got too many ladies. He's got too many ladies to entertain. He doesn't have the leg strength anymore.
I mean, he does live in Vegas, so maybe he's a professional. You never know. So, but yeah, no, they definitely look out of sorts. Devontae Adams is, I think there was something I saw on Twitter that he was not happy, and it's all basically just from they don't have the offensive personnel to achieve what they want to achieve. Is basically what he said. So maybe he might be on the trading block come trade deadline. Was it end of November? I think when that happened.
Well, I think it's earlier than that, but it's coming up.
It's like week 8, I think.
It's coming up. Yeah. So. I mean, at the end of October, I think you mean, because it's week 7 now.
Yeah,
so,
I was going to say it's week 7, yeah.
So we ended up, Ash and I always debate, like that 5th pick is always a tough one. We were like, oh, how about San Francisco? I'm like, I don't know about that defense. Cleveland, and how about Arizona? And he's like, I don't know about that. We ended up settling on the Giants plus 14.5, which we agree was too many points. And look at that, Tyrod Taylor, what did he do? Not turn the ball over. Now, he didn't get the ball in from the 1-yard line twice. They should have won this football game. The Bills end up winning 14-9, playing abysmally, if that's a word. But give the Giants credit. They stood up. They still, they're 1-5 now, but they played better. And does Tyrod give him a better chance than Daniel Jones? I mean, he didn't look phenomenal, but he did throw the ball deep some. It's just he made some mistakes, especially that end of the first half was, I don't know how they don't get any points there, but they didn't win the game, but they covered the 14.5.
Yeah, no, this was as a Josh Allen fantasy owner, I thought this was going to be a slam dunk game, and it was not the case. So I lost my fantasy matchup by 1.5. So Josh Allen is unfortunately, maybe I should have taken him to the shed, but we'll leave that alone.
Yeah, he had a couple of turnovers, as he usually does in their losses.
Yeah. But they the Bills live up to what we think they are. They are who we thought they were. They either blow people out or they just sit there and play with their food. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know if it's like a coaching mentality or they just overlook people and it's a trap game thing, or I don't know what it is, but they gotta figure something out.
Yeah, I mean, leave it to the Bills to actually win a game and not cover the spread. That usually isn't the case. They usually lose outright, so at least they won the game. But again, they did everything they could to lose that game. So some of the other ones you talked about, okay, you did pick the Rams. Obviously, the Rams won pretty much going away. It was 9-6 at halftime for Arizona. They've still been a good first half team, but I think your point about them still tanking is true. 26-9. They look pretty bad in the second half. Josh Dobbs the bloom's off the rose a little bit. I've even heard Kyler Murray is going to be back in there next week or after their bye in 2 weeks. So, what are you going to say? But good win, 26-9. The Rams look pretty solid.
Yeah, I think moving forward, I think the big thing that I mentioned last week and that I started to really notice is that they really are a bad second half team just because they have zero depth. So once they get to the second half, especially in the first half, if they can't get the defense off the field, they're gonna be just a leaking ship. So definitely want to keep an eye on that moving forward with our picks, I think.
Yeah, I think so. We'll see. I think about the Rams, they got those injuries to the running backs now. We'll see if the next guys up can deliver, but certainly. Okay, so Detroit, they won a big game. Like I said, show me game. We did disagree, but they showed it. They played really well. Their defense played really well. They were 3.5-point favorites on the road, which I thought was too many. And actually, all the money was on Tampa. It was one of the consensus picks, so it was good we stayed away. Detroit wins outright in this one, 20-6, pretty easily. And your Jared Goff cover machine continues. It's just like a slot machine, except it gives you the money every time. Maybe ATM machine.
Yeah, him and CJ Stroud. I think CJ Stroud might be the next Jared Goff. We just don't know it yet.
Be.
But to me, the show me game was last week against Carolina when they had a big number. So I'm glad I got on that window a little early. It made me look like I know what I'm doing, even though I don't. So no, Lions look. I mean, they're past frisky in my opinion at this point. They might be floating with Juggernaut, or Wagon even. So
somebody bought them in at NFC 10-1. I told you that, but that's a hedge position.
But no, their offensive line looks good. If Jared Goff has time to throw, he looks like he knows where to go with the ball. He likes, Ben Johnson obviously is a really good offensive coach, and if he's not a head coach somewhere next year, I'd be really, really surprised.
No question. See Los Angeles Chargers. Okay, so
I'll start the rumor now. He's going to New England. I'll just go ahead and start that rumor now. They're going to fire Bill Belichick, and then he's going to hire Ben Johnson.
Okay.
Robert Kraftwell.
Okay, we'll see.
You heard it here first.
Huh? Okay, so I guess you backed off the Fields game, but he got knocked out, so the Bears lost. But they were 3-point dogs at home. I actually thought it was still decent. I mean, the Vikings did win 19-13, but it was mainly on a defensive score. It's not like the Bears defense played decent against that offense. Without what's his name, Jefferson, they didn't look the same, Minnesota, and they're never the same on the road anyway. But Justin Fields got knocked out, and he's going to miss again this week with kind of like a dislocated thumb or something. So we missed on that. Well, sort of missed, but backed off. But sorry about the Charger game. I mean, I told you about Dallas, but no, it was a great game, close game. Chargers +2 was the pick for you, but in the end, I mean, it really boiled down to Dallas's defense came up when they needed to come up big, and I did think that, I don't know, Staley, I just don't like him as a coach, but I thought that what's his name? Shit, what's the Dallas coach? McCarthy.
Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, McCarthy gets a little too predictable too. He's like, run, pass. Like, what are you doing? Like, Jesus Christ, when they were pushing the ball down the field, they were successful, especially going to CeeDee Lamb, who was open all game. But then they're like, let's just run right in the line again with Tony Pollard. Jesus Christ, dude, throw the fucking ball. So, but anyway, game-sealing interception, 20-17 winner for Dallas, and they go into their bye with a win.
Yeah, I know, and going back to our season preview, I'm telling you, it's going to be the Achilles heel of this Dallas team, their predictability and lack of imagination on offense. But no, Dak played well. I think he was like 21 of 29, so he had a pretty good completion percentage. I think he was like north of 75%, so that's pretty good. I think he had a touchdown or two, so he played well. Like to your point, the defense played well, and I'm out on Brandon Staley. I don't know why they haven't gotten rid of this man. They have way too much talent to be this mediocre, in my opinion. I mean, they do play in a tough division, but man, it's just I don't know. I don't know. Looking back on the Chargers, I don't know how if you can sit in that front office and look at yourself in the mirror and be like, why didn't we hire Brian Daboll? Like it just makes like looking back on that decision, it could be a franchise-altering one, honestly. So.
Yeah, and at some point, can we just say this out loud that Joey Bosa's stealing money? I mean, at some point, you've got to friggin' play
He was
football.
invisible. Oh my God, that man was invisible Sunday night.
He doesn't.
Be found.
He barely plays, and I mean, I know he's a Bosa and Nick's a beast. His dad's a beast, isn't it? His dad could beat us both at the same time when he tried to take him down. But no, for real. I mean, I'm just like, Joey, when are you going to show up in this game? They needed you to make a play. Didn't do anything. Mac played fine. And Derwin James, he made some penalties, but he played pretty well. They needed him to play. Well, let's get into
They should trade him, honestly. Old safety. He need to get rid of him. He made a couple bonehead plays, too.
Yeah, bad penalties. All right, the Week 7 preview. I just changed it. Here we go. So let's talk about some injuries. Again, a lot of these guys may still play. For the 49ers, I mentioned earlier, they lost Debo, McCaffrey, and actually Greenlaw as well, the linebacker. None of those guys practiced yesterday. So check your reports. They got obviously a pretty big spread this week to cover. I still think they're going to win the game, but they don't have their studs, which may affect that one. Daniel Jones, it doesn't sound like he'll play. He's still it's a neck injury, but you know, maybe they're slow playing that for the Giants. Tyrod could play, and he wasn't too bad. It looks like Fields is not going to play, so you've got your Tyler Bagent or Bagent. And I'm going to let you read this thing, but I did see this at the Senior Bowl. I watch the Senior Bowl sometimes, so.
Oh, you did. Nice.
I actually put him. If you go back to the Wegs article on the draft, I mentioned this guy because I really liked him in the Senior Bowl. Division II guy. But go ahead, talk about his dad.
No, if anything, he's just. I remember him talking about it last week on the broadcast. They were talking. His dad is actually like the 17-time world arm wrestling champion. He's from West Virginia. So.
Yes.
I did like a nice little bio dive on his dad, and it's just it was kind of cool just reading about him. It's just like from the age of like 11 or 12, he was obviously they're from West Virginia, so he's always like kind of the backwoods, backcountry kind of fella, splitting wood, doing all that hard manual labor. Apparently, it gave him God's strength or something. So it's pretty cool to read about. He looks normal. He looks like a normal person, but when you watch him videos of like him arm wrestling, it's crazy just how strong he is, just how quickly.
Yeah, they at the Senior Bowl they interviewed him, the dad, and he did an arm wrestling with Tom Pelissero, like the NFL Network guy, and they're doing the interview, and whoever's talking to him, he's just talking, and Pelissero is like. He's going to put two hands on the guy just sitting there just talking. There's nothing. Oh, we're done. Puts them right down. So I like the kid. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to be great, but I'm glad he's got a chance to show something. He's probably going to get beat up, but
his first play was kind of tough last week. He fumbled the ball in the first play, and then they returned it for a touchdown.
That was the score that they lost on. I know, but I'm pulling for the kid. I don't know if they're going to do great this weekend, but we'll see.
Yeah. It's all uphill from here,
Yeah, and they're playing the Raiders. Jimmy G is probably doubtful again, which means Hoyer, who is it a Hoyer revenge game? He's played with every team basically, but he was pretty good when he came out. I don't really trust Hoyer though, long run, but I don't know if the Bears have the team to do it. The Bucs, we've got Baker Mayfield kind of getting a little banged up too. I think he's going to play. Are they off this week? Yeah, the Bucs might be off this week, right? Tampa?
No, they just had a bye.
Yeah.
They just had a bye last week.
Oh, that's right. They are playing this week. Here we go. We're live radio.
We're live.
They're playing Atlanta this week.
Yeah, they do play. Yeah, they play home.
I mean, if he doesn't play, we'll see. We'll see what happens. With the Browns, it sounds like Deshaun Watson is playing. The line is moving their way. My question is, and people were talking about this early in the week, what is the deal? Is there more stuff going on with Deshaun Watson, a little behind the scenes? Because I thought he was cleared to play last week and he didn't play.
He's been cleared to play for 2 weeks now, and he hasn't chosen to play. So all of the injury reports that I've read, he's cleared to play medically, but it's a pain tolerance issue. So it's
he wants to be pain-free, Dalton.
Right?
I'm almost 50. Yeah. I'm not pain-free. I don't. I mean, I'm not hitting like the painkillers here, but this is why I keep doing exercise.
I'm sure he has to have some pain in him, right? I mean, he's done some horrendous things in his life, so he's got to at least have some emotional scarring, to say the least. So to say he hasn't played through pain, I think would be inaccurate. So I think to your point, there is definitely something. I don't know. Maybe they're trying to maybe move him off his contract or something. I mean, obviously everybody in the league knows that that's one of the worst contracts, if not the worst contract. I think you can argue Russell Wilson is up there as well.
I mean, there's nobody who's going to be willing to give this guy a massage. Let's just start right there.
That could be the problem with the rehab. Nobody wants to help him out, which I don't blame him.
All right, so the Lions have some injuries. David Montgomery did not practice his ribs, the running back there. Jahmyr Gibbs has been on the shelf, and he's hamstring. He was limited. He's supposed to return. Everybody's talking him up. Look, I'm waiting for the Jahmyr Gibbs game. It hasn't happened yet, but we'll see. For the Rams, we talked about it. Kyron Williams. I always want to say like Kylo Ren from the Star Wars reboot. His knee, he's out in this one. He's been a stud as a rookie this year. They're going to have other guys jumping in. The backup is also hurt, so they're going to the third-string rookie guy who I have in my fantasy now. We'll see if I start him.
They signed Myles Gaskin, too.
Oh, wow. Wait, who knows? They can start anybody on there.
Shout out former Dolphin, yeah.
There you go. And then the Vikings, defensive end Marcus Davenport is on the IR. He's their best pass rusher. To your point, Tank City, Minnesota. So talk about that, too. Let's jump into the lines here, Dalton. We already talked about the Jags. They won the game. They won 31-24. This game sailed over. There haven't been a lot of overs in primetime, but this was one of them. Trevor Lawrence, lots of speculation. He's on my fantasy teams. I'm like, what do I do? Do I start him? I'll put him in there. He was great. He ran for 63 yards. He threw a nice touchdown pass. ATN looked great. The game was only a 7-point margin. I just felt like they kind of let up a little bit, the Jags. They're beating them pretty good early, and then they end up winning the game outright. But we talked about Carr playing like crap as well.
Yeah, and the condolences to the people like myself, the losers out there that drafted Calvin Ridley in the first couple rounds of fantasy.
Yeah.
Instead of Christian Kirk. Yeah, that's the only thing I have to say. The man was invisible. I think he had one catch. Yeah, I don't know how to feel, honestly, because Zay Jones wasn't even there.
I know. Wait till Zay Jones comes back.
Yeah, and it's going to be even more invisible. We're going to start making milk cartons for that man or something.
Maybe Ridley bet on his under receiving prop.
They could have. Wow, there's a hot take for you. That's kind of spicy. I like that. No,
all right.
To your point, and the Jags defense got a touchdown. So I mean, they're playing better. They are. They gelled over in London like they did last year. So to your point, the Jags could be getting hot.
The London Jags. It's going to happen soon. Shaq Khan wants to move them over there. So there's no London game this week. We get the Frankfurt game soon, but not this week. Detroit goes to Baltimore. Baltimore's a 3-point favorite at home, 43-point total. You're going to see a lot of these win games. I'm surprised. I put the meteorological notes on what happened to your meteorology report. This is a win game, I've heard. You've got some. You've got partly cloudy. Okay, you added something when I left. So it's 16 miles an hour here. Partly cloudy, 63. Sorry, I saw that. You must have done this since I updated this morning. But that heavy winds are affecting these, which they say is going to affect Detroit. I don't know, man. I like Detroit in this, dude. +3. I mean, I'm on the bandwagon. I know Baltimore is. Plus, the other thing is they're coming back from London, a little sluggish, probably. I know that Baltimore can run the football. Defense is playing great, but I'm not coming off the Lions here. You're against me again, huh?
I do.
Wait, you're taking a favorite? Are you taking a favorite?
I do like the Ravens this week. They're going to win the football game.
Okay.
The spread's not going to matter. Yeah,
okay.
The Ravens are going to win. The Lions do a really good job with their front seven rushing the passer. The problem is that Lamar Jackson can turn into a running back. And I think with their I think they're going to experience some lack of discipline. They might be too aggressive to where they rush, maybe too far up the field and open some of those running seams for Lamar.
Okay.
And I think the Ravens are in a good spot here. I think there's still a little tick that they're not 5-0 or 6-0 like they should be. And that defense is playing really well. Obviously, outside of like one great catch and run from Tajay Spears last week was about the only thing that kept them in the game. So,
right.
I think this is a good spot for the Ravens. I like them here.
They have been playing really good defense. That's why they're up in the metrics, not for their offensive play. Well, we'll see. A lot of money is on Detroit. I like Detroit still in this one. Okay, so let's go to the next one. We've got Cleveland and Indy on this one. I'm sorry, we'll skip one. The Raiders at the Bears.
There you go.
The Raiders are 2.5-point favorites. The 37-point total. This has come down. It's the Hoyer versus Bajance Bowl. 9-mile-an-hour winds aren't too bad. I don't think it's too bad. It's not that much of wind. It's just obviously two backup quarterbacks. There's a lot of backups in. I don't know. I like the Raiders are playing really good defense. Let's start there. I don't want to shortchange them because I am going to pass on this game, but the Raiders have played really well on D. I mean, not just Max Crosby. The rest of the squad has played well. Can the Bears move the ball? I don't know. So I do think the right team's favored. Hoyer is not that good. And Badgett may be a backup, but the value's still got to be on the Bears here. So I got to stay away. I can't knowingly back the Bears in this spot like last week. I'm going to back off past this game.
No, this one I actually like. I like the Raiders in this one, and there's a couple different reasons. I think the coaching mismatch, leads toward the Raiders. The biggest thing, too, is they're going to have the best two skill players on the field between Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs. And I think this could be the game that you can see Josh Jacobs kind of have that coming out party. He's progressively gotten better throughout the season. Obviously, he wasn't at OTAs and stuff like that. So that, you always wonder about conditioning. These guys are pro athletes. Usually they should be fine, but I think he's working back up into that apex form that we're used to seeing him at. I think this could be a big game for him. And to your point, the Raiders defense, I think they've given up 20 points in the last 3 games, give or take. I think, if I remember correctly. But they've been playing well. So I like the Raiders here, even with the weather.
Let me ask you this though: Devontae Adams they never throw him the ball in this offense. I mean, Hoyer barely threw it to him last week. Jimmy G wasn't getting the ball. So is this the week? It's the Devontae Adams week? Because he's getting a little frustrated. I think they might shop this guy because he's just – I mean, they should get him the ball. He's a great player, but they don't throw him the football.
It could be. But you also got to remember their quarterback personnel, their strength is not throwing outside of the numbers like Devontae Adams' strength is running outside of the numbers. So Jimmy G's never been known to throw the ball outside the numbers in his whole career. There's a reason why Brian Hoyer is a backup. So if anything, I think they need to check their philosophy and how they're lining Adams up, how they're using him correctly. Obviously, you just don't want him lining up outside. I think you got to move him into the middle, get him in the hash marks, get him matched up on safeties, linebackers. Obviously, scheme him open, if you will. So you might see some of that this week. I would expect it. If they don't, then that's when I would start to worry.
Okay, we'll see. So I'm staying away. You like the Raiders. Favorite.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Cleveland. Just note it. Cleveland, Indianapolis. This is in Indy. Cleveland's a 3-point favorite on the road, 40.5 point total. Obviously, weather doesn't matter in this one. Okay, if I'm to pick a side, I would pick Cleveland, although I'm not because of Watson. It's more that I'm against Minshew. I think Minshew, as much as Minshew mania, the mustache, I mean, who could deny the mustache? Great stash. But I think he's got limitations, and Cleveland's a good defense. And I think that was a reason why, actually I differed on the Jags-Indy game last week. I was all on the Jags, not just because, Indy never won down there, but Minshew, man, he's just chucking the ball and throwing it to guys and the wrong guys. So, I don't know. And originally when I saw this game, I'm like, I'm on Indy. I think their defense is pretty good. I'm going to back the dog, but I don't think I can do it. Even with Watson, I wasn't sure I was going to back it because I think Minshew is a big liability for this team. So guess what? Jimmy Wegs, stay away. Number 2.
Just doubling down on the stay aways. I like it.
Well, there's only 12 teams to pick, 12 games or 13 games to pick. I got to pick some.
Yeah, I know, right? This is I almost wanted to call it a clunker this week, but football is better than no football. So
yes.
I've been up in the air on this game. I could see very easily Cleveland's defense taking over the game, controlling the tempo and stuff like that. But I could also see the Colts. Obviously, their offensive line it's no pushover. It's one of the strengths of this team as well. Right. So I don't know if they're going to necessarily neutralize the Browns' defense, but I could definitely see them, slowing down, maybe giving Minshew a little bit extra time to throw. I hate the number. I think 3 is that perfect number. I think they obviously know what they're doing. So if I had to take a winner, I'd probably take Cleveland, but for me, this is a stay away spot too. There's just so many outcomes you can see happening, so it's tough to say.
Right. Okay. Look at this. Maybe a stay away for you.
Yeah.
All right.
Unless you don't know what quarterback you're getting, God, it's just a mess.
Exactly. I love this. An hour before you find out who's going to start a quarterback.
Right.
All right. So Buffalo at New England. You got an 8.5 point road favorite in Buffalo. 40-point total. Super low total. Total has dropped. It was like 42 and now it's on to 40. So I heard that the gusts were going to be from 22 to 32 miles an hour. My meteorologist expert here says 12 to 16 with some rain. It's a big look. I am first of all, let's just be on the record. I've lost a couple times now with the Patriots. I'm not going to be on the Patriots ever again. But 8.5 is a big number, no question. But Buffalo always outclasses this team. They've beaten this team silly the last few years, except for that one time on, I think it was Monday night or Thursday night, they just, ran the ball down their throats. Yeah, that doesn't happen anymore. 8.5 is a terrible number. If you bet football, you're not going to want to back an 8.5 point spread on the road very often, but they're in my top 5 because Buffalo owns this team. And I don't know, there's too much talk about, Belichick being gone. They're losing these games. They're playing like shit. Last week, I couldn't believe how many offensive penalties they had against the Raiders. Pre-snap penalties, illegal shifts, illegal whatever. It's disarray, so all on board with Buffalo minus the 8.5. Favorite me.
And I'm with you on this one. I think, obviously, I think Buffalo had a really big letdown. Obviously, they still won the game against the Giants on
Correct.
Sunday night, but they had a big letdown game. And with the Dolphins going to the Eagles, which we'll get to here, I'm sure, in just a second, this could be a chance for them to even up the division as well. They could, have the same record as Dolphins, which I think if any of the teams in the AFC East get a 2-game lead, that could be some real trouble for everybody else trying to catch them. So I think that's going to be really important for Buffalo. I could definitely see them taking this pretty seriously, coming out and covering a 14, 17-point number for sure. I like them here. I'd hammer them.
All right, look at this guy, hammer spot.
And Buffalo and the Patriots have always struggled with mobile quarterbacks. So even if the weather is a factor, if they just line up and go 11 on 11, you're always going to take Buffalo's 11 over New England's 11. So.
Yeah, and Allen got a little banged up last week. He got hit pretty good. So without Judon in there, it's just not the same. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Let's go with Washington at the Giants. Washington's a 3-point favorite on the road, 37.5 point total in this one. Another win game, but I heard MetLife is like a fortress, so I think this is too low. I think there's going to be a correction to some overs this week. This is one of those games, even though Giants haven't scored a touchdown since 2016. I do think it's too many points for Washington to lay, though. A road favorite in division rival, no way. I'm not going to back the Giants, but I'm not going to back Washington at all in this one. So definitely would bet the Giants if I had to in my contest, but not part of my top 5 plays.
Yeah, the divisional underdogs, I think, are 3 or 4 games over 500 this year against the spread, or even outright. So, if we're following the metrics, it's probably a good way to go. I'm going to follow the quarterback here. I think Washington, even though they didn't play very well they won the game against Atlanta last week, obviously, but I think Atlanta probably lost that game more than Washington won it. I think the big difference was that Washington could put the ball in the end zone and Atlanta just couldn't. So I think you might see the same replication this week. I think Washington's going to put the ball in the end zone. I don't think the Giants are going to put the ball in the end zone. I think it's going to be the big difference in the game. So to your point, I think if you took a number, you definitely probably would take the Giants. But if you're going to take a side to be on, I would take the Commies. I'd ride with Washington.
All right.
So,
there's one of your picks.
Sam Howell, my guy.
Your guy, yeah, your guy. That's one of our picks. So there's one of your picks because we're sort of different on that one. So consider it. All right, so let's go to Atlanta at Tampa, a divisional rival NFC South. Tampa's a 2.5 point favorite on the road or at home, 37.5 point total. Again, rock bottom total here. You see massive correction for for Vegas here on these totals. I think it's a little low. I know that Atlanta's defense is pretty good, and you've talked about Tampa's defense, even though they didn't play great last week. This is a tough one. Let me look at my numbers on this one. All these numbers are right around that 3.5. The league's getting a little boring this week. Nothing too exciting. The value is getting extracted. So let's see. Jimmy Wegs has this game. Well, I got Tampa as a 4-point favorite, so I guess there's value to them. I just don't trust them, especially if Baker's a little banged up. And I don't know if you said it or Action said it on our discussion when I was trying to lean towards the Bucs. He's like, the real Baker Mayfield is going to stand up, and he did. He didn't play well at all. So I probably would take the dog in this one, Atlanta. But it's, again, not one of my top 5 picks. I'm going with the road dog in this one.
And we're gonna differ on this
well,
one.
Yeah, no kidding. You're taking a favorite? There's no way. You took the favorite again?
I'm taking the Bucs, and there's probably 2 big reasons why I'm taking the Bucs.
Okay.
One, they got embarrassed last week on national television, 4:00 in creamsicle uniforms. And
oh God!
If nothing screams candy ass quite like the experience they had.
What happens
3
if the
hours.
Dolphins play the candy apple blue against the against the
Oh my
creamsicles?
God, that'd be awesome, wouldn't it? God, you talk about a sight to see. Maybe if that ever, people could say heaven does exist then, if that ever does happen.
Oh my God.
So, but I digress. And the other thing too is the Achilles heel of this Tampa defense is they're a little banged up in the secondary. Obviously, Carlton Davis has been in and out of the lineup, and he's their best cover corner. But the Atlanta can't throw the football. They only run the football well. Desmond Ridder, he had a good game 2 weeks ago, and then he struggled last week. I think he had 2 turnovers. So
Yeah.
I don't trust Desmond Ridder. I'd rather have 80% of Baker Mayfield than 150% of Desmond Ridder.
Wow. Okay.
So
he's twice the player.
Yeah. I like the Bucs here to have a nice bounce back spot, and plus this is for the I think this is for first place in the NFC South if I'm not mistaken. So
yeah, with the
gotta
Saints
take control
losing.
early.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a tough game. I mean, admittedly, it's not on my top 5 card. There's no way because it's a divisional game, but 2.5's a little bit better for the favorite there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's
Talk
get
about great
this.
mustaches. Arthur Smith, great mustache.
Great stash.
Yeah.
All right, afternoon games. Pittsburgh at the Rams. Rams are 3-point favorites at home, 44-point total. This is what sucks about gambling in today's day and age. I'm in Philly, in the airport, checking my point totals or checking my spreads, updating my sheet. See 3.5 for the Steelers. I'm like, let me get this. Oh, wait a second. This is an Illinois app. So I fly. 2 hours later, land. The 3.5s are gone. We're back to 3. So I don't like that at all. But here's what I'm going to say. Metrically, and you've said it, the Rams are actually sneaky good. They've played really well this season. I think I have them as a considerable favorite when I do my metrics, but I'm totally against it. I just believe that the Steelers, even though Kenny Pickett sucks, I've been on record for that, this is the perfect game. You know, they're coming off the bye. Maybe they got a little better offense, and their defense is pretty good. I know the Rams usually run the ball, but their 2 best running backs are hurt. 3 points on the road with Tomlin. I got to take it, man, and I think that it's going to be mostly a Pittsburgh home crowd anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not really a home field advantage on this one. I'm going to ride with the Steelers in this situation plus the 3. I hope it's 3. It's actually in the contest, it's 3, so I was hoping for a 3.5, but it's 3.
Yeah, no, that 3.5 would be really nice. That's tough. Those damn 3-hour, 2-hour flights, they get you every time. But no, I'm with you. I think the home crowd is going to be not a factor. I think it's going to be incredibly loud for the Rams. They're not going to be able to run off it. They're going to have to go silent count for sure. So to your point, the Rams are a little banged up. I like the Steelers here. I think they're going to have a hard time blocking T.J. Watt. Obviously, I think he's going to have a big day. And yeah, I think the Steelers, they're going to have to figure something out for that offense because it's only a matter of time until, people start calling for Matt Canada's head even more. So the longer this goes on, the more the buzz is in the building, the more it just is going to steam over. They got to do something. So
he doesn't make
I think they take a step in the right direction this week.
He doesn't make the correction after this bye. They got to fire him. I mean, maybe they don't do it in season, I guess, but give me a break. I mean, they got a chance to make the playoffs, so. All right, so Arizona and Seattle, NFC West matchup. Seattle's an 8-point favorite home, 44.5-point total. You've got late winds in this one, 59 degrees cloudy. I would say that, look, Arizona's going to play good in the first half and they're suck in the second half. There you go. There's the handicap. This has been every game they've played all season. Josh Dobbs, it is his last game supposedly starting, at least I've heard. They're going to have Kyler Murray start in the next game, but I can't back him anymore. I'm sorry, Cardinals. You were my favorite for 3 weeks, and now you stink. But I don't love Seattle either. I don't know. Have they really figured things out? They obviously got abused by the Cincinnati defensive line in the road last week. We're gonna win this game, but 8 is way too many points. So I gotta back off this game altogether. Stay away. Number 3.
Well, we appreciate your Cardinals hot corner there for a minute. So we'll start it and get you your own segment. We'll have to start looking into that.
I think it's like I need a support group. It's a Cardinal support group.
The Redbird support group. Maybe I like that. We can even throw in some other sports while we're at it. But no, actually, I like Seattle here for the same thing. I think the second half is going to be a completely different defense that you're going to get. It's going to be a bad football team. I think Pete Carroll's obviously going to run the ball. I think they're going to try to establish the run a little more than what they did in Cincy. They did it on the first drive against the Bengals last week. They ran it I think they had like 60 yards rushing on their first drive, and it's like they forgot
shut the door.
Yeah, it's like they just forgot that it existed anymore. So they didn't really run the ball too much against the Bengals. But I think obviously the game script is going to lean more into them running the ball this week, and I think it's going to actually favor them. It's going to help the play action with Geno, and that's when obviously he's really good. So I would take the Seahawks. I'd give you the 8. I think this is probably a 10 or a 14 point game. And yeah, Seattle's going to need it to stay in the division hunt as well. So, and the Rams are right behind them in the wild card. So there's 3 teams right now in the playoffs in the NFC West. So if they want to keep up, I think this is definitely a game they got to take care of business in.
Yeah, it's a throwback to a few years ago. So, all right, so let's go with Green Bay at Denver. This is a humdinger of a game of the week. Green Bay at Denver. Green Bay's a 1-point favorite now, 45-point total. Looks like a beautiful day in Denver at 77 degrees and sunny. 6 to 8 mile-an-hour winds. Look, all the sharps love Green Bay, and I've been on them too several times. They are my top 5, mainly because the metrics say because Denver's so friggin' bad on defense. But it's a little bit of a scary spot. I don't trust Jordan Love a lot, but I had to pick a 5th game, so this is definitely my 5th pick of the grouping. But I would lay the 1 whole point with Green Bay in this one. Because mainly I don't think Denver's that great, but it's essentially a pick-em, which they're going to win another game, Denver. Of course they are. But will it be against Green Bay? I'm not sure. So I lay the 1 point with the Pack.
Yeah, this could be a great color matchup too, depending on what jerseys they're wearing. Like if they went the orange with the green, that'd be a lot of fun.
First of all, I want to backtrack. You definitely went with the Saints because you said they were a better color matchup than the Texans, buddy. I remember this vividly. You love the color matchup. You said you like the black and gold versus the blue and red or whatever the hell it is. So let's make sure we stick to the program here.
Yeah. I'll stick to the I'll go back. I checked my notes. I had Houston in the Beaver Nation, so I got it off the spreadsheet.
Maybe you listened to me for once.
Yeah, maybe I had epiphany. Same thing with the Bears. But I'm with you. I like the Packers this week. I think if Breece Hall can run for 180 yards or whatever it was, the Packers have a much better offensive line than the Jets do. They won't even have to throw the football with Jordan Love. They'll just have to do some very fundamental, elementary stuff, and they should be just fine. Their defense is good enough to give Russell Wilson some trouble. And I could see Green Bay winning this game outright and by a lot. I don't see how Denver even hangs around, honestly. We'll see what happens.
Maybe Russell will have a great. Well, Denver's another team in the first half is a lot better than the second half for some reason. They stink in the first half, or they play really well in the first half. Maybe it's scripting, and then second half they go off the table. So it's okay to bet Denver in the first half and then flip it to Green Bay in the second.
Samaje Perine. I would take his props in the passing categories, where his catches, his yards. The Packers struggle against pass catching running backs. And
they do.
Obviously, Javonte Williams is not going to catch the ball out of the backfield. He's their workhorse. So.
Right. Okay, this is the actual game of the week, and that's the last window. It's the Chargers at Kansas City. Kansas City's a 5.5-point favorite at home, 48-point total. Another lovely day, sunny and 71 degrees. A little bit windy, 10 to 15 miles an hour. Here's what I'm going to say about this one. Defy the metrics, even though Mike Williams is not playing. He eats against Cincinnati or Kansas City every time, but he's out for the year. Look, Kansas City beats them every friggin' time, no question. No doubt, almost no doubt. But these games are always within like 3-4 points. So 5.5 is just too many points for the Chiefs. So I totally understand why you're going to back if you back the Chiefs because they're a better football team. They have a better defense. But somehow, some way, the Chargers kind of keep it close because they're talented. And it's not like KC's running away from teams with the offense. So 5.5, you would take the Chargers if you have to pick a side. But I don't like that team. So I'm staying away from the top 5 in this one, but I would back the Chargers plus 5.5. But if you want money line, you take the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm with you. The whole Mike Williams, I think the Mike Williams factor is going to be a huge, outcome on this game, if you will, a huge factor for this game. But Quentin Johnston has been completely invisible. They spent a first-round pick on this guy, and they don't even throw him. They don't even try to throw him the ball. So I don't know if he's just not ready, if it's a character issue, or whatever the case may be. So the more I sit here and think about it, the more I actually want to take the Chiefs, just because I feel like if they just take Keenan Allen out of the game, they just have to deal with Austin Eckler at that point. So, with you, this is definitely a stay-away game to your credit. I think the last 6 matchups between these two teams have been decided by 4 points or less.
Right.
So I think there's 2 overtime games in there too. So
there was one that the one they think they won by the Chiefs won by 6 in overtime. So they did cover that. number, but not often.
But to your point, I think this is too big of a number for in division. But I'm with you. I would stay away. I don't like the matchup at all. But if I'm with you, I would ride with the Chargers. I'd take the points for sure.
Wow, a dog. He can,
I know.
But maybe not in his top 4. But all right, let's get with the two.
Well, it's hard to call Justin Herbert a dog. You know what I mean? It's hard to say that he's an underdog to any quarterback. But he's playing Patrick Mahomes. So.
I also saw who he was dating this week. That beautiful reporter, but nice work. So there's 2 obviously primetime games. Sunday night football. This is, my company loves this one. Most of my company's going to be at this game in the box. I've not been to the Philadelphia box, but Miami is playing at Philadelphia. They actually opened this game as a 1.5 point favorite. It's up to 2.5 for Philly now. 51.5 point total. Miami, they're taking the money, which is interesting, but the line is moving to Philadelphia, which I'm not sure what that means. That's a very interesting situation. Maybe it's kind of a leveraging the money line play for Philly, because I think a lot of people are on them. I am on Philadelphia. I know that they're a favorite, which is not my typical position lately, but I think that they're going to outmuscle this Miami team. I love Miami's offense when they're free-flowing and they can just get the ball around, but when Tua gets beat up with the defensive line, he has trouble, and I think that they're going to be able to run the football. Miami's not great against the run, so I think Philly's going to win this game outright in 2.5. I mean, if it was like a little more, 3.5, I could see going to Miami, but just a field goal game, I got Philadelphia all the way in this one.
Hammer the over. That's what I'll say.
Okay.
Hammer the over. It's only 51.5 right now. I think is what we have on the sheet here.
Yep.
I keep going back and forth. I could see the issue of the line depth for the offensive line for the Dolphins being an issue against obviously the front seven of Philadelphia. That's their strength. It's literally Georgia's defense against Miami's offense. Is basically what it's going to come down to. But I don't know. The Dolphins are getting healthier in the right spot. Jalen Waddle's coming along a lot better. I think it's only a matter of time before this defense begins to play a little bit better. It's so hard because you think they have the personnel. I mean, they've got dudes on that side of the ball. They've got guys that should be able to play at or above at least a serviceable level. So I like the Dolphins here. I think they have to make a statement. I think at some point they have to be like, okay, we can play in a cold weather game. It's above 50 degrees technically, but I think this is a kind of a prove it game. They kind of got embarrassed in their first prove it game against the Bills. I think that's going to be on the forefront of their mind. I think Mike McDaniel's going to have something cooking against the Phillies defense. Their pass defense is not good. It's suspect. I think it's like in the top. I think it's like 22nd in the league. So it's towards the bottom. So I think that definitely the strength of Miami's offense could take advantage of the Phillies defense, listen to me, of the Eagles defense. But,
the biggest thing is, can you make Hurts throw the ball more than 30 times? Like last week, it was just terrible against the Jets. I just don't know if they can do that. But
and another component to this Miami offense you haven't seen in years past is they can actually control the ball. They have a run game. So even worst case, if they have to get into more of a drag it out kind of matchup, maybe they can kind of go toe to toe. But I think it's going to be an interesting game. Another good color matchup, by the way, the sage green. Hopefully we get some aqua white going.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to be in their whites, but yeah, for sure. No, the Eagles are playing the old school Kelly green this time.
Even better.
The Randall Cunningham jerseys, for sure. Okay, last game, Monday Night Football, the 49ers at Minnesota. 49ers are 6.5 point favorites now, 44 point total. This number's kind of, gone between 7 and 6.5 most of the week. So it's off the key number of 7, which is favorable. The way I look at it is it's San Francisco or pass. I can't back Minnesota, not just Kirk in primetime, which would have been a classic thing. I just don't think this Minnesota team is firing on all cylinders. But San Francisco is not – they're not fully healthy, but they don't need that much to beat this team. 6.5 is just a big number. So, good. Jimmy Wegs picked 5. I gave you 5. That's all I got. I'm not picking this game either. I mean, I'd probably go San Francisco or pass, but I'm not putting it on the top 5 for sure.
I got a new idea for a segment. We call it the Pick 6, and there you go. And here we are. We're off and running. So – but no, I actually do like the number of 6.5. I like San Francisco.
Sure.
I don't want to say they got embarrassed because obviously they were a little depleted, but I think to them it's going to be a little embarrassing. Even though they did lose that game, Brock Purdy did take them down the field and put them in field goal range to win the game. So I definitely think he's going to have a bounce back spot. Minnesota's defense is nowhere near Cleveland's defense, so Obviously, I think things are going to get a little bit easier. They should have much better protection. And, it's the first time that he's lost in his whole career. I don't see him losing back-to-back games. He was 13-1 or 14-1 or something like that. So I think this is a bounce-back spot for the Niners. Again, they got to keep up. I guess the Eagles did lose last week, but if they're going to get the number one seed, they probably can't lose more than 3 or 4 games this year. So.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be like Purdy's back to the MVP form because he's got all the time in the world. But
you can't be the MVP of the league and be like the 4th best player on your own team. That's just
I agree with you.
It's not allowed. Not allowed.
That's true. All right, so let's review my top 5. They're not in any particular order, unfortunately, but you've got Buffalo minus 8.5. That's obviously, hopefully they blow out the Patriots. Philly minus 2.5 on Sunday Night Football. Detroit plus 3 against the Ravens on the road. Green Bay minus 1 against Denver on the road. And Pittsburgh, all our road guys, plus 3 against the Rams on the road. Do you know, I put a couple in there for you. I wasn't sure which one you wanted to go here.
No, you're good. Actually, I was just adding to it as we were speaking. So with me, I'm going to ride with Baltimore again this week. They're the minus 3. I'm going to take the Commies at minus 3 at the Giants, and we're going to hammer that over. I got a hot tip from a prestigious co-host of mine that I think we're going to ride with, and then I'm going to take Tampa minus 2.5, and then we're going to run Fins at plus 2.5. So a lot of those damn half numbers, which I normally don't like, but again. Statistics have shown us, and your stat department points out to us, we just got to pick winners.
Pick the winner.
That's what I think we're sitting on. Yeah, we're sitting on a winner.
Pick the winner. Awesome. Well, hey, so weekend ahead, kind of a busy one. God, when do I not have a busy one? I got to start doing some slow weekends. Today I forgot I'm meeting people in like 45 minutes at Pizza Lobo.
Nice.
Some pizza. My brother moved into his house in Brookfield. Welcome back, Philly boy and the team. I'm going to go out there for a little movie night. Tomorrow, going to hit Rivers for the crafts roll with Luke, and hopefully we get Rob and Cardish out there. Get a little end cap on the end of the table.
Yeah.
We're not going to get Primetime Murphy out there. He's too busy doing appraisals. Come on, appraise the table. Let's figure out if it's worth it. And then on Sunday we've got the Sunday we got the big chili cook-off softball game, which I know you're going to have your 2 gloves, the white gloves going, ready to go. So pretty exciting. So what's going on in Ohio? Just visiting the fam?
We're visiting some of the family. Obviously, it's spooky season, so I think we'll probably hit up some of the haunted attractions. Ohio is known for that's like the 2nd or 3rd biggest state in the country that has like the most haunted attractions. So we might hit a haunted house here or there. I think tomorrow night we plan on going to Kings Island, which is like one of the big amusement parks down in Cincinnati area.
Nice.
So that should be a good time. And then to your point, Sunday I've got 2 pounds of elk meat that I got to make for the chili.
Wow, elk meat.
So I'm hoping to bring home the top notch. That elk meat is going to change your whole life, and nobody even knows it yet. So
can't wait.
We're hoping that we can. Hopefully we can upstage Caesar. I think Caesar's probably the biggest competition we're going to have.
He usually does more than one though, doesn't he? He usually has a couple entries. I'm not sure. But.
I don't know. It's my first chili cook-off. You're taking my virginity as far as the chili cook-off.
Yeah, I'm not cooking any chili. I'm eating chili and I'm playing softball. Hopefully not getting hurt. So that's what I'm out there.
Are you the all-time pitcher?
Well, I don't pitch on both sides. That's actually a good question. I usually pitch for one team, and one year we won. Last year we didn't win, but. The other pitcher is critical because they pitch junk. There's no walking in this thing. They can pitch trash. I'm a free swinger. If I get a decent pitch, I'm going to hit it. But if I get a trash pitch, I'm going to swing at it anyway. So, Scotty Green, my buddy Scotty Green probably doesn't listen, but he was pitching trash last year. It was garbage. And they even had Jane Rowe pitching a couple of years ago. It was more than garbage, but it keeps them in the game. You put it down the middle. Jimmy Wegs is going to take it deep. So.
Oh yeah. Pull hitter, dead pull hitter, folks.
Don't tell them. I know everybody's listening. They know the scouting report now. So.
Oh, and shout out to Primetime. You mentioned Primetime. I think we're going golfing on Tuesday. So there's supposed to be like the last nice day in Chicago. I think it's going to be close to 70 degrees. So I think thank God I've got a lot of PTO that I need to use up. So
use it up.
Shout out to Primetime. He's hopefully going to take us golfing out there at the links.
Yeah, he's giving you the shout out for all the college picks. I don't know if he's betting on them, but he's trying to.
I hope so. Yeah, he'd be a rich man. That's all I gotta say.
He's got the money. All right. Well, follow us at Side Action Pod on Twitter, Side Action Podcast on Instagram. Follow me at Wegspool on Twitter and on Instagram.
You can check me out on Instagram at Dalton Cooper, on Twitter at Mr. Grumpy Gills. Obviously, I am Coop. We are the Side Action Podcast. Until next week, we get back in the Ridge Apartment Studios.
That's right.
Right there in downtown Chicago. Until then, we hope to see you guys next week. Happy betting.
All right, guys.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Side Action Podcast. We appreciate all of your listens and thank you for joining us. We'll see you all again next week on Thursday for some more hot picks and side action. Side Action Podcast, its owners and associates take no responsibility for the opinions or statements made by the show hosts or their guests. Statements or show topics are not necessarily the beliefs of this podcast, and opinions between talk show hosts may conflict. Individuals following the advice given on the podcast accept their own risk of losses from wagers made, as the Side Action Podcast, its owners, hosts, associates, or guests will not guarantee any advice given. The opinions and advice given on the Side Action Podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Intro and outro and transition music credits. Song titles Jerry 5 and District 4 by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.org. Licensed under Creative Commons Attribution 3.0. creativecommons.org/licenses/by 3.0.